Hey, this is George, and the topic of today's video is the Minimum Equipment List, or MEL. This book goes by a lot of names. Some people know him as Bob, the big orange book. Well, there's been some changes to Bob recently in what we call the front matter, and the people who are going to be using this book as part of their daily duties, we want to make sure they're familiar with what's going on. So let's take a look at what we have.
Okay, I'm ready to start using this thing. So where exactly does Bob live? There's a paper copy in the flight deck of all the Delta aircraft. There's also one available to the pilots that's loaded in their electronic flight bag. The Surface tablet is downloaded before each flight and should be up to date. You're also going to find a copy on the TechOps homepage. Just click on the MCC link, and on the Maintenance Control Center homepage at the top, you have a link to the MELs. This is the official copy and will be the most current version of the MELs for each of the aircraft. Now, in most cases, we're typically going to be out there on the aircraft using that paper copy, and how do I know it's current? Well, we just check the page number at the top of the MEL that we're using, and we can compare that to the list of effective pages in the back of the book. The dates should correspond. Now, if you ever have any doubt about what's going on with your paper copy, just call MCC.
I'm going through this particular MEL and I come across some yellow pages. These are temporary revisions. These are interim changes in between any major revisions to the MEL. They'll be inserted in front of the white page that it supersedes. On the next revision cycle, these pages will go back to white. Well, I think we spent enough time figuring out if my MEL is current. Let's go take a look how this information is laid out on the page.
So here we are inside the MEL. I want to go over the different pieces of information we're going to see on a typical page, starting with number one. It's the MEL item number. It's in an ATA format. You may notice the same actual ATA numbers with different codes, A or B. We have to be careful to use the exact reference that we're going to be authorized to make this deferral. Number two is the name and description. This is just the common terminology for the certain systems we're going to be dealing with. We see how we have an aileron lockout system, and notice how it says in bold, dispatch approval required under the A. That means we're going to have to make a call to maintenance control, and they're going to have a conversation with the dispatcher to see if we're going to be allowed to make this deferral. We look at B, it's just the indicating system. Maybe that's not going to be as restrictive as the A. So we get to item number three, flight crew may placard. We're going to see either a Y or an N. This is an indication that maybe the flight crew can carry out a procedure to make this deferral. Look how the indicating system is a Y. Maybe that's there aren't any procedures involved in doing this deferral. We look at number four, and that's the number of items or units or systems installed on the aircraft. We have one aileron lockout system in our example. Jump over here to number five. So we have one system. How many do we need to dispatch the aircraft? Well, it's telling us 0. So we're going to be able to defer this one lockout system. Now, number six is the repair category. We're going to be performing a deferral. How long can this MEL stay on the aircraft? Well, it's going to be either an A, B, C, or a D. The timing of those different categories we're going to cover a little bit later in the video. Number seven, remarks or exceptions. Here we're going to get information on whether a certain number of items are going to be prohibited or permitted to be deferred. We have specific procedures that are initiated by either the flight crew or maybe maintenance. That's where the O's and the M's come in. That's our last item, the O's and the M procedures. This denotes a procedure that exists that must be conducted. Now, it doesn't necessarily tell me who can conduct this. We're going to get into the details of that in our next section. So let's talk about O's and M's in this next section.
O stands for operational procedure. We can see we scrolled down the page a bit, and then our reference for both the A and the B are going to require an operational procedure, and this is for the pilots. M is for maintenance procedure. We see that 271102A includes a maintenance procedure. Normally, these procedures are accomplished by maintenance personnel. However, other personnel may be qualified and authorized to perform these functions. Procedures requiring special knowledge or skill or the use of tools or test equipment should be accomplished by maintenance personnel.
Now, in order to keep the size of this MEL manageable, All of those normal procedures like applying electrical power, hydraulic pressure, the cautions and warnings and lockouts that we need to follow while we're doing these tasks aren't included in any of these steps. You're going to have to refer to the aircraft maintenance manual to get all of that detailed information of what you need to perform.
As an aid for accomplishing complex M procedures, training videos are available to supplement the AMM instructions. A project is underway to link these videos directly from the MEL. Look for this video icon next to some of the M procedures.
So we've selected our MEL procedure, we complied with any of the M procedures, and those steps were taken. Now it's time to install the placard. Is it going to be a white placard or a yellow placard? Well, let's take a look at the difference between those two.
Placards are used as a visual indication to flight crews and maintenance personnel that a unit or system is inoperative. The white placard is used for all MEL items which do not require a repetitive check. A yellow placard is used when the statement "repetitive check required" is printed in the remarks block of our MEL.
Here in the front of our logbook, we've got a pouch that has your blank placards and a placard page with little pockets that you're going to slip them into.
They've also taken out the guesswork of what to write on the placard and where to place the small adhesive tab. In our example, we're showing the small yellow tab near the ICAS display for the aileron position. There are 4 types of repetitive checks: once each flight day, prior to the first flight of the day, prior to each departure, and conditional repetitive checks. So how long are we allowed to keep these items on deferral? That's where the repair categories come in. This chart in the front matter lists the different expiration times for the different categories. It's the responsibility of the flight crew and MCC for the B, C, and D items, and Maintenance Control Center has sole responsibility for the A category items.
So that's all we have today. We hope this video was informative. Go ahead and take a minute, get yourself familiar with the new front matter that's in the MEL. Keep an eye out for those links to the training videos for the M procedures, and if you ever have any question, feel free to reach out to the MCC or the MEL group. Thanks. Manual or top reference or even the pilot's operating manual to get all the details of when your screen blanks out.
Let's go ahead and go and take another take.
In any of these procedures, we're going to have to refer to the AMM.
I need to hit this space bar before I start.